Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you are listening to the Brandon Cruz Daily Fantasy Podcast. A bit of a look at the 2020 Xfinity Series and a couple tests here and there. I'm going to be trying out the webcam here and OBS and using everything, so I don't have to use the other computer. Let me yap right here for just a few moments. I got my old computer that I used to edit with. It's got an integrated graphics card. The process, I don't even know what it is, but the computer's from 2010. I mean, it's pretty dated. It's pretty old. I just only use it to render stuff because I didn't want to waste time on my new computer. But it's looking like we're gonna have to do that. Luckily, I got OBS, so I don't have to edit things anymore. I can just record them and live stream them straight up to y'all. Now, here it is, my awesome webcam. So here we are, rocking my Sam Hornish number 9 shirt, because you have to at least have a NASCAR shirt on when you're talking about NASCAR. Not sure how I'm going to do this. As you can see, I don't have a desk. I like being comfortable, so I don't have a desk. I've always done everything in like a little X-Rocker. I got an ottoman right here with my mouse, got my keyboard on my left side, got my racing chair right here. So I don't have a desk, so I got this attached to my little chair right now. I'm going to have to buy something to put that on, and then my little camera, if I put it on the side, it looks kind of weird on the little windowsill, so I got a little seat right here holding it on. We'll decide that later. You guys tell me. I mean, everybody says you need a webcam to make NASCAR content, to make fantasy content. So I'll hop on there. I'll decide where that goes. I don't want to be blowing eardrums out there. Actually got the microphone now. It shouldn't be sounding too shitty. Just looking forward to all this. I got all this basically to do a DFS tavern and to make my stuff more professional and everything. Now I'm gonna move on to where it shows my desktop and everything, and we're gonna go talk about the Xfinity Series now. If you want if you want a really good rankings show, go listen to Race for the Prize. He has a lot of them out right now. He's focusing on the truck series. He's doing actual rankings. I'm more of an updater, focusing on what each team is doing, focusing on what I expect as low punts, as a GPP player. That's what I'm focusing on. So I'm not exactly doing a ranking. Like obviously, Justin Allgaier is probably the best Xfinity series driver going into this year. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just talking about it. And I got some notes here, not a whole lot. I mean, there's a lot of quote-unquote underfunded teams this year. The competition may not be the best for, the battles for the lead, the battles for the win. I expect it to be quite boring, but the real battles on track will be from 8th through 30th. I mean, that's where all the action is for the Xfinity Series, and we're going to talk about that. And a lot of people have been saying, it's going to be bad. All these bad teams are going to be racing and all that type of stuff. Look, somebody has to finish first. Somebody has to finish 5th. Somebody has to finish 13th. Someone has to finish 20th. Someone has to finish 25th. Someone 30th, 34th, 32nd, however many cars they have this year. Someone has to finish there. And that's our job as fantasy players, to decide where they're playing, decide where they are. We have to use our best judgment based on practice time, qualifying position, and upside to put them in our lineups and have the best chance of actually making money off of this. Now, Jayski, that's why I like always pronouncing the Y a whole lot. This isn't a by the book. I wouldn't necessarily rely off of this list, but it works for me for what I'm doing in this video. So it's basically just going to go over who's with who, what teams are returning, and all that type of stuff. You see that I got some stuff brought up on my Twitter, and I'll add things accordingly throughout this video. Hopefully it'll be like 20 minutes. Now let's get actually into it. So going over the Xfinity Series. Now, the quote-unquote Rookie of the Year contenders are these guys here. Jesse Little going to be racing full-time in the 4-car. Riley Herbert should win it pretty easily over Harrison Burton. I believe in him way more than Harrison Burton. CJ is going to be in the 95. I mean, you can read this. Actually, my webcam might actually be blocking that. I just thought about that. So, Andy Seuss, Joe Graffs Jr., Jesse Little, Riley Herbert, Harrison Burton, Anthony Alfredo, Matt Snyder, and CJ McLaughlin are going to be your Rookie of the Year contenders. Now, some of these are obviously in better equipment than others. So, the main battle for Rookie of the Year would probably be between Riley and Harrison Burton. Now, I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to go over the other teams and basically what I did for the Truck Series with a little bit more detail. Now, JD Motorsports should be always having either Kobe or Garrett Smithley in there. A lot of this has been confirmed or at least speculated on Twitter right now, just on JD Motorsports. And I have JD Motorsports split up. We'll talk about them when we get there. They also have the 01 car. Leach has moved to NBM Motorsports for 2020. Michael Annette's going to return. Nothing big there. Now Andy Seuss is going to be running a full-time team. I'm not sure exactly what their sponsors are. You can bring up these articles and look. I always check directly on Twitter, which I'll show you at the end of why I check this type of stuff on their actual Twitter. But Andy Seuss wants to compete full-time. Now there's only going to be 34 cars making each field this year, which is unfortunate because this is the first year and probably the last 8 that we've had a lot of new teams enter the series, a lot of new players, a lot of people bringing in a lot of money. So it's a shame that they actually did cut the series down this year because there's going to be easily 45 cars showing up to Daytona. Richard Childress Racing, they're most likely not going to run the 2 car. They're just going to run the 21 car this year. Jesse Little is going to run full-time for JD Motorsports, which is good. It adds some stability to the 4 car, which was probably their best car last year. We'll have to check and see what they do. Matt Mills for BJ Motorsports, he would switch in between the 5 and the 78 last year. I expect to see the same thing now. Ray Black Jr. will return in the 07 car for this year. Justin Allgaier, obviously your main stallion this year, the guy who's going to just pretty much dominate unless he wrecks himself in every single race. Joe Graff Jr. will drive full-time in 2020 in the 08. I actually expect to see better racing out of the 07 than the 08. I just think between those guys, Ray Black Jr. is a better driver. Junior Motorsports, this is going to be a interesting year. It should just be down to 3 drivers this year. Actually, it should be 5. It says the team is expected to run full-time with a number of drivers. I believe it's 5. I know it's Hemrick for a few, Burton, Earnhardt, Zane Smith should come back for a few races, and they have some other guys that they don't have planned right now. That's why I don't typically always go off of the J-Ski list right here because everything's usually updated. And now, what is it? January 27th. So we're 2 weeks out from Speed Week starting. So we'll get all this information there. This is just more of a preview. Noah Gragson should return the 9 car. I don't see why he wouldn't. He actually started running really well last year. He has sponsorships. I don't see a reason why they would not run that. Ross Chastain will run full-time in a way better car than he did on and off last year. He'll be in the 10 car. Same with Justin Haley. There. Anyway, so this is where it gets interesting. So NBM Motorsports, they're going to add Stephen Lynch full-time in the 13 car. Now it says he's going to run a partial schedule. Partial. Typically last year they tried to run all 4 NBM cars every week. They tried to qualify in every time. It says they're going to run 2 full-time cars with a 3rd on occasion. I honestly think they're probably going to try and run 4 again this year and just see how that goes because they have a lot of spare cars there. I know not all of them are competitive, but they have a lot of spare cars and they're moving up. They're finally at a point where NBM Motorsports is making more money. I mean, they have, what is it, two drivers attempting to make the Daytona 500 in the Cup Series, multiple drivers running full-time in the Xfinity Series. Here, I'll actually bring up them right here. So, let's see. As I said, he's going to start 500, blah, blah, blah. I know it says it around here somewhere. I just missed him. This is dated. I could have swore they updated. Anyway, NBM Motorsports is at a much... I think it's their Facebook, actually. They don't post as much on their Twitter. They have a lot... Like I said, they have a lot of spare cars. I expect them to actually be more competitive this year. Last year, they ran into a lot of issues during the race with either parts failures, equipment failures, just not showing up. That disaster of Bobby Earnhardt running the 66. He was like 4 seconds off the pace each week. A lot of people ask me why I am such a fan of Chad Fitchum and Timmy Hill, just because they're good drivers, man. They're running some piece of shit equipment, and they're running better than what most guys would do. You know, B.J. McLeod in the 15 again, Riley Herburst in the 18th, which I don't even think he's that good. I think, obviously, I think Brennan Jones is probably the best Joe Gibbs car that they have, with Christopher Bell leaving and all the big dogs. I mean, it's going to be Joe Gibbs. It's going to be Joe Gibbs Racing versus Junior Motorsports, with Richard Childress probably fighting for the ownership championship. Now, Kaz Gralla he was just announced, I think a couple days ago, he was announced that he'll be returning to the 21 car for select events. This is going to be the same situation as the 8 car for Junior Motorsports, where it's just going to be people in and out of the car week in and week out, which, yes, it's harder for the crew chiefs and teams to get used to how these guys run, but for fantasy purposes, it can either be a good or bad thing. So like Anthony Alfredo and Matt Snyder will run here and there. I think they're going to be lower priced than Kaz Gralla and Austin Dillon, just because they don't have as much experience and history that DraftKings would probably price up as. You know, Austin Cindric in the number 22. Now this car number has not been determined for NBM Motorsports. I'm thinking they're going to go back to. They're not going to use the 61. They're probably going to go back to Fitchup using the 66 car, because that was one of their main numbers that they used. Remember, last year they were running the 61 to build up points for Austin Hill to run that this year. So I expect NBM to probably run the 66 for Chad Fitchum this year. But he's going to complete full time. He's not going to be rotating between the 13, the 66, the 61, and all of those. The reason why they did that last year is because they were trying to build up for this year to have a competitive year. That's why they entered so many cars and tried to get so many, the points from finishing the races for the 13, the 66. Those were the 2 lowest. Helping out the 61 by also what they did last year for the 61 is they ran it, got the ownership points, so that Austin Hill will most likely be locked into the Daytona race this coming February. But they keep the prize pool the money that they got whenever it was their 61 car. Whenever it was that blue 61 car that Timmy Hill ran at Bristol, that was Austin Hill's team supporting NBM Motorsports to run that number. I don't know, kind of just ran. Anyway, Chad Fitchum is going to be way better this year than next year. Alex LeBay going to run Daytona and a few other races with Josh William driving the number 2 for these guys as well. I think that Alex LeBay and Josh Williams probably don't make Daytona just based on speed. But we'll see how it is. Now, the RSR, this is where we run into it. I'm not going to even talk about this crap right here, because I'm going to tell you right now, Jeff Green is indeed sponsored for Daytona with the same guys who ran with him at Talladega last year. He's fully sponsored. Look at his stats on Racing Reference or whatever you use for your research. Whenever he's sponsored, he runs well. Whenever he's not sponsored, he has a start and park. The reason why they got a JJ Yaley right here is because JJ will probably run this car when it's starting and parking. Say at like Vegas, say at Phoenix with CJ McLaughlin probably hopping in here as well. They're trying to get more sponsorships secured for the 38 car, like they did with the number 93 here. I'm assuming they have some here. No, they're just talking about Jeff Green here. I was hoping they'd have more. But they are trying to bring in more sponsorships. So if the 38 is sponsored, play him. If he's not, I would most likely not worry about playing him. At least the 38 car. Anyway, 39, Ryan Siege, always sponsored with his own money there. Nothing to really worry about. Now, Tommy Joe Martins will be running the 44 car. He's bringing in his own team this year. He's leaving NBM Motorsports. He's going to have full-time sponsorships and a good attempt at actually doing well this year. Let's go down and look at this fella right here. Where is it? Yeah, fully sponsored, which always helps, man. That means you can. Click on Jordan Anderson, which always means that you can buy your fuel. You can afford to have guys in hotels. You can afford to have tires. You can afford to actually race. Tommy Joe Martin's probably going to be probably around 6,800 for the first couple weeks. Then once DraftKings sees that he's actually running well and that he's sponsored full time, he'll move up. But this is a guy that I like, two that will be sponsored. Mike Harmon Racing, here and there. Nemechek's going to drive the 47 at Daytona. He'll have to see if he can actually qualify. He's not locked in, but there it is, another start and part guy, mainly throughout the year that will run at Daytona. Jeremy Clements, fine. David Starr will return for 2020. 66 Motorsports. It's probably going to be Timmy Hill in this car here with Fitchup running another number. Either way, they're sponsored. Brandon Brown is going to return in the Brandon-built Motorsports Chevy in the 68, and they're probably going to bring that 60, or they're probably going to bring that 86 back as well here and there for select events when they think they can afford it. For Mike Harmon, same thing, start and park here and there unless he is sponsored. Usually other drivers that he has bring sponsorships more than other people. Vinnie Miller should return he's going to return this year. Going to probably bring Viper back on that 78 car, so he will be sponsored. Well, typically Vinnie Miller actually just runs even if he's not sponsored, so we'll have to see how that goes. We got to check all this pretty much on a weekly basis to see who's sponsored. I'm just talking here and there. Like I said, Brandon Brown. Why is this on twice? I don't know why it's on there twice. I don't know. Josh Williams, he's returning. Like I said, he's probably going to be sponsored, but he probably won't make the race at Daytona. The 93 for RSR Racing, probably going to be sponsored again. Probably whenever they're going to be running at super speedways, they're going to be sponsored. I don't see an issue there. And then the 98 for Stewart-Haas Racing will be the only Stewart-Haas car that they're actually going to run this year, since Custer is moving on to the Cup Series. They're going to take all that resource and put it towards the Cup Series now, with only running one Xfinity Series team. 99 has ownership points, owned by BJ McLeod. Probably going to run the same thing last year, where he ran some drivers here and there, and we'll have to see. And then you always got to think about the 12 car showing up. AJ Allmendinger will run a partial schedule. The number 28 for H2 Motorsports, with Brian Keselowski actually designing this car, building this team from the ground up, or at least being hired by this team. He ran very well in the last couple races. I think he ran Atlanta, Vegas, Phoenix, a couple other races. I didn't even go that far. A couple other races here and there. Man, why? Oh, good Lord. Let me go back. I believe this is what they're running at Daytona. So he's sponsored to, or 26 car. Why did I say the 28? Oh no, yeah. They're running the 26 this year. But if you want to see what he does with Sam Hunt Racing, you can check them out. I mainly just follow Keselowski because he posts a lot more of their stuff, but they're running Joe Gibbs Motorsports engines, or at least they're buying their engines from Joe Gibbs Motorsports. Keselowski is an amazing setup designer. I don't want to go too far. I don't know what's down there, but Brian Keselowski, what he likes to do in his spare time is take old Cup cars to the salt flats in like Utah and Nevada and all that, and just try and break speed records, or just try and go as fast as he can. And I don't have anything brought up right now, but he's amazing when it comes to aerodynamic capabilities in a race car. So at the plate tracks, I like Keselowski. I like the 28 a lot. I forgot who's going to be driving it a lot. I have more faith in Keselowski helping build the car than the driver. We'll have to see who it is there, but I like those guys too. 61. This is the team I was talking about. I can never pronounce this stuff. Austin Hill will be the driver full time because that's his team. Timmy Hill was just running that for, like I said, NBA Motorsports. It is not an NBA Motorsports number. They just ran it last year to get those points so they can actually qualify for a couple of races. Let's see. more. I forgot to bring up Morgan Shepherd. I'm gonna do that. Oh, let's get this one. No, what? That's not the Morgan Shepherd I'm looking for. Anyway, actually, it might be Landon Castle a little bit better. I guess I should have had this up before. Whoops. So I gotta get a desk. Where are we at? He had it posted not too long ago. Anyway, he was sponsored the last race at Homestead. Ran it full time because Castle did very well running that car full time. He has a lot of talent. Morgan Shepherd and his wife. I don't have my phone around me actually. Otherwise, I talk about his wife. His wife posts a lot on Facebook on if they're sponsored, if they're not sponsored. They're trying to get more sponsorships for this year to run full time in the 89 car, which is pretty much unheard of. And his run at Homestead really helped. I expect Landon Castle to come to Daytona with the 89 car, with a sponsor, and just racing their heart out. And that's pretty much it. So now oh man, I keep lagging that. Now that we got all that squared away, let's talk about the teams that I would actually think about playing in daily fantasy purposes. Now. It would probably be the, let's see here, just so you can actually see my face, just because I'm about to end this. So it'd be, JD Motorsports is always going to have money. Richard Childress, whenever they're running that 21 card. BJ McLeod, RSS Racing, whenever they have confirmed sponsorships. MBM Motorsports, I expect a lot from them this year. I expect a lot of improvement from them. DGM, oops, I just whacked that, sorry. DGM Racing. Whenever they have sponsorships and actually qualify for the race, they should be fast. I just don't expect them to qualify very well at Daytona. RSS Racing, as I said, I expect them to be pretty fast. Mike Harmon Racing, whenever they show up to a plate track or with some type of sponsorship, I expect them to run all right. And that's about it. Now, why do I just say, I expect them to run well, or I expect them to run here and there? A lot of these guys are on an even playing field right now. The field between probably 15th back is probably on even ground. They all don't have a whole lot of money. They all don't have a whole lot of speed. And like I said on my paper over here, someone has to finish 28th. Someone has to finish 30th. Someone has to finish 23rd. We just have to find out who that is. This is just my little preview, my little update on the teams that are here. Like I said, if you want a real rank, go check out Race for the Prize. He has some videos actually ranking people. I'm just kind of yapping over here. Wanted to test this out. Wanted to test that out. Thank you guys very much for listening to me yap here. I probably won't do the Cup Series. I honestly don't think I need to at this point. I just want to talk about the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series. Let's see, the Super Bowl is this weekend. Probably whenever practice starts at Daytona. I know they have the Clash Saturday night. Practice for that will probably be Friday. So probably either Thursday or Friday, seeing how the Clash is going to line up and seeing how practice lines up. Make a video. I believe they still pull the qualifying positions out of bottles at Daytona probably Friday night, so we'll know where they're starting Saturday morning. So I'll probably do another live video Saturday the 8th, and then after that we got the legit speed weeks, to where the duels are on the 13th, the Trek Series is on the 14th, Xfinity Series on the 15th, and the 500 on the 16th. I'll probably be just doing these types of videos that entire week. Yeah, I think the first time all the teams practice are Wednesday, so that's probably when the Speed Weeks videos will come out. And thank you guys very much. I'm hoping that you like this type of video. I'm trying to invest in doing this stuff, making it sound better, making it be more fun. We'll check it out. So thank you guys very much, and I will see you next time. And peace out. And do you still want me to? I have a shitload of random shirts I gotta wear. I don't think I've ever worn this shirt actually since I bought it. So I guess I gotta keep wearing NASCAR stuff. So thank you guys very much. I will see you next time.